EV rider hits the trail. Trailseeker's electric and ready to roll. Power up the wild, let the journey begin. Subaru EV strength built for every terrain you're in.
2026 is the year Subaru is getting serious about EVs.
You're looking at the very first model year 2026 Trailseeker, which is just about hitting showrooms as this video is being recorded.
It's one of 3 entirely new Subaru EVs being introduced in 2026, which are joining the mid-cycle refresh Solterra that EV Rider road tested earlier this year.
For Subaru fans, I think the best way to look at the Trailseeker is as an electric version of the Subaru Outback. In fact, over in Europe, this is actually called the Outback.
The base model Trailseeker is $5,000 more than the base Outback, but in most parts of the country, drivers should easily earn back that cost difference in a few years once maintenance and fuel costs are figured in. Looking at the average U.S. residential per kilowatt hour rate and gas prices on the day this video was recorded, the Trailseeker would save over $7,000 in fuel costs over 5 years if driven 15,000 miles per year. Of course, energy prices constantly fluctuate, but in most parts of the country, home electricity has historically cost less than gas.
The Trailseeker beats the Outback in several other key categories as well, such as more torque, more horsepower, and more tech.
However, the Outback still holds the edge in cargo space, although by a hair, with 77.7 cubic feet compared to the Trailseeker's 74 cubic feet.
In back, you'll find plenty of space for your groceries, your camping gear, or whatever the case may be, including a fairly deep storage well. And if you need even more space, super easy to go ahead and flip down these seats.
The Outback also has a bit more ground clearance at 8.7 inches compared to 8.3 for the Trailseeker. For most, the ground clearance and cargo dimension differences will be too small to notice.
Out on the road, it'll quickly become apparent which car is smoother. The reality is, no matter how good the engine, they just can't compete with the smoothness of electric motors. The ride quality is excellent in the Trailseeker. Now, one thing I didn't get to do here in Florida is take it off-road, which of course a lot of Subaru owners will probably want to do. And with 8.5 feet of ground clearance for gentle off-roading, such as state parks and public lands that have dirt roads, you should have no problem. And because this is all-wheel drive and has X mode, as you would expect, this should be a great car in snow. Now, for a deeper look at X mode, see the written review at evrider.tv. Of course, this being an EV, this is much quicker than any Outback or Crosstrek or Forester that you've ever experienced. As a clean sheet design, the 2026 Trailseeker comes standard with the new North American charging standard. What that means is you'll be able to charge at Tesla's superchargers with no adapter. Now, the Trailseeker has a peak charging speed of 150 kilowatts, which means you'll be able to go from about 10 to 80% in 30 minutes. And when you're at home in the garage, AC charging, it's got a peak speed of about 11 kilowatts.
So going from near empty to full overnight will be no problem.
One thing you won't find in the Trailseeker is a frunk. The plus side to that, everything is wide open here, including the 12-volt battery and all the fluids, so servicing should be a breeze. The Trailseeker shares a lot of components with its sister EV, the Solterra. The gauge cluster is far forward, and it kind of splits the difference between a head-up display and a traditional gauge cluster, which would be closer to the driver. Plus, the steering wheel has a flat top and a flat bottom, and that really helps keep the view of that gauge cluster unobstructed. The center console is also nicely laid out. You've got 2 wireless charging pads for smartphones, and you've got a circular gear shift, which will quickly become second nature. Then you've got physical controls for some of the critical stuff like your drive modes and your X mode, or if you want to turn off your traction control. Taking a look at the infotainment system, You'll find that you've got dial controls for both the driver and passenger, so you can adjust your climate control. You've got a nice native navigation system, very touch friendly, as you can see. You do, of course, have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You've got a very good implementation of HD radio and satellite radio. Plenty of sources here for you. You do have a manual volume control knob. You've also got physical controls for your defroster. You've got a good home button here so you can quickly navigate between your various controls.
One criticism, I used the heated seats on a cool morning, even on its highest setting. The seat didn't put out as much heat as I've become accustomed to with some other brands.
Of course, you've got cup holders, and a nice feature, you won't find the driver or passenger fighting about the center storage compartment. It opens two ways, one for the passenger and one for the driver. The back of the Trailseeker is a comfortable place to be. It does have cup holders. It does have a spot for at least 2 smartphones, and you've got individual air conditioning vents, 2 USB-C power ports, and heated rear seats. The Trailseeker does have adaptive cruise control. It does have lane keep. It does not have hands-free steering. You will be prompted to put your hand back on the wheel roughly every 20 seconds. Our particular mid-trim Trailseeker has a fixed steel roof, but you can get a panoramic glass roof as well that has a power sunshade. Our Trailseeker also has a roof rack for those of you that like to haul extra gear when you're traveling or camping. Here on EV Rider, we tend to keep our road tests pretty brief as compared to some of the other YouTubers out there. A big reason for that is we save those really in-depth reviews for our website, evrider.tv. EV Rider contributor Dan Scanlon spent a full week with this Trailseeker, and you'll find his written review and plenty of photos and all kinds of things that I didn't get into, at least specifically, such as X mode, the different drive modes, all that on the web at evrider.tv. And if you found this video version of the Trailseeker road test useful, please go ahead and give this video a like, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so we can continue to bring you more EV road tests and more adventures in EV motoring. Thanks so much for watching EV Rider, and we'll see you again soon.